So welcome to The Bookshelf, our regular feature where we profile prolific South Africans and also celebrate the richness of our literature. This day we are in company with Mike Greenaway, who is the author of the Fireside Springbok, the untold stories that make the Boks great, as of course we rally behind the Boks in the World Cup currently. Mike, thank you so much for joining us. It really is an honor to have you, considering how legendary you are in the industry. 28 years of being an independent writer in rugby, a sports lover, fanatic. Welcome.
Thanks, Cindy. You're too kind. Yeah, I've had a long innings. I've been covering the Springboks and the Sharks now, nearly 3 decades. And it's just so rewarding, and I'm just so pleased that I've been able to put down a lot of my experiences in this book. I've just been so happy that I've just had the contacts and I've had the experiences. I've been on the tours, I've been to the World Cups, I've met a lot of the players, and so when we got to lockdown and I had things to do, or not things to do, it was a pleasure to begin writing this book.
And we'll get to that. The lockdown, I think a lot of us can remember how traumatic it was. The fact that you were separated from other human beings, or even your workspace. There's this confinement that we had to get used to as the new normal. But take us back, 28 years ago, whether you had set out, you knew from a very tender age that you wanted to be a prolific sports writer, or how did it turn out for you?
Yeah, I'll tell you how it happened. Is I always had a love of English. I actually went to university to study to be a school teacher, originally an English teacher. It didn't really work out, and when I was teaching, I realized that I really preferred writing. And then I went overseas to London, and I studied journalism. I did a postgraduate diploma in journalism, came back to South Africa, and I've been a journalist for 30 years. I had 2 years at Republican Press at a magazine called Personality. Older folk will remember Personality. It was the forerunner of You magazine. And then I answered an advert in the newspapers for a sports writer at the Mercury newspaper in Durban. That was 1995, and I've been there ever since.
But you also admit the part that you were a sports player. You were a rugby player at some point.
Indeed, I played rugby. In fact, I played my last game of rugby only a couple of years ago at the age of 54. I played club rugby right up till the age of 44. And I just loved playing rugby. I was pretty competitive in my youth, but once I got to the point where I realized I was never going to be a professional player, I think I decided, well, if I can't be written about, I might as well do the writing.
Yeah, a bit of vanity there, also modesty, I'm not sure whether to call it. No, but I get what you're saying, that, obviously you wanted to be an integral part of this. What do you call it? For me, it's even a movement now, because it's even gone beyond just sports. It's now gone into social cohesion, nation building. But of course, it also has its own history, which then brings us back to the book.
Well, writing about the Springboks is really writing about South Africa in a way. If you look at the journey of South African rugby from a historic but unfortunate past, but it happened, and we've gone through decades, and then we got through to the 90s, where we had transformation, and now we've seen how that Springbok brand is now growing. It's now owned by a whole country, and it just gets increasingly more exciting. And the power of Springbok rugby to unify South Africans. I mean, we're in the middle of a World Cup, and people just can't stop talking about the Springbok game on Sunday night. It's just a wonderful thing to be involved in.
Yes, and this started, one could say, or I think the culmination thereof was with Rassie Erasmus, who had put together, or rather had a transformed team in the 2019 World Cup. Was that the most prominent of that transformation era?
Yeah, Rassie is, he's a very interesting character. He is one of the most talked about sporting personalities South Africa's ever produced. He's always up to something. But the bottom line is he's a genius. He is a rugby mad person. And to appoint Siya Kolisi as the Springbok captain in 2018 was just a magical thing. And it was all done for rugby reasons. I mean, Siya has proven himself to be one of our best ever players. He is just a machine, and we wish him all the luck in the semi-final, a quarter-final against France. But Russie's, what he did there has just been such a boost for our rugby.
Mm. And not, you know, we often say that South Africans have got selective amnesia as to where we come from.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we always want to celebrate the victories, the highs, and tend to put the lows or sweep that under the rug. But when we go back, there was a time where the quotas was almost like a swear word. You know, when you spoke about, is it merit, or are we only putting players because of their race, and this is just going to make the Springbok team weaker, but now obviously later we realized there was a value in it.
Look, South African rugby, it is what it is. It came from an unfortunate past, but you know, if you think about it, you know, the Springboks were a really good rugby team when they were picking only from whites. Now they're picking from all South Africans, and they are just much better. There's just so much good coming out of a unified South African rugby situation. And transformation was necessary to get to where we are today. And I can assure you there isn't a South African now who looks at the Springboks and sees colour or sees anything other than South Africa's finest in the green and gold, and wishes them well.
Absolutely. So we're going to get back just after the break and sink our teeth into the untold stories that make the Boks great. We're in conversation with author of the Fireside Springboks, that's Mike Greenaway. We're back after this. Do stay with us.